Is there anything colder in professional sports than watching a warrior lay it all on the line for a championship, only to be shown the door the moment the confetti settles on the wrong side of the field? We are talking about a game of inches, folks, and right now, the silence coming from the Toronto Blue Jays front office is deafening. We are barely 2 weeks away from pitchers and catchers reporting spring training, and the wound from that excruciating 11-inning Game 7 World Series defeat still feels fresh for everyone in the six. But while the fans are still nursing the heartbreak of coming this close to the Commissioner's Trophy, the business of baseball stops for no one. And right now, it looks like one of the few bright spots from that postseason run is packing his bags, not to return to the Rogers Center, but to defect to the National League. We need to talk about Chris Bassitt. Let's rewind the tape for a second, because context is everything here. When the playoffs started, the narrative was bleak. Bassitt was shelved with lower back inflammation. He missed the ALDS entirely. Most pitchers, especially veterans with an impending free agency, might have packed it in to protect their future earnings. Not Bassitt. When the ALCS rolled around, he didn't demand his starting spot back. He didn't complain about rhythm or routine. He marched into the bullpen, a place he hadn't lived in years, and became a gladiator. He threw nearly 9 innings across the ALCS and the World Series, allowing a single, solitary run. He was the glue that held a fractured pitching staff together when the lights were brightest. But here is the brutal reality of the modern game. Loyalty has a price tag, and apparently the Blue Jays aren't willing to pay it. Bassitt's 3-year, $63 million deal is dust in the wind. He is a free agent, and while Toronto seems content to let him walk, looking at their shiny new toy Dylan Cease, another team is lurking in the weeds. We are hearing legitimate noise that a National League powerhouse, a team desperate to reclaim its own glory, is ready to snatch Bassitt away. This isn't just a roster move, it's a changing of the guard. Think about the message this sends to the locker room. You have a guy who sacrificed his body and his ego for the team in the World Series, and the response from management seems to be a polite good luck elsewhere. It brings up memories of past off-seasons where fan favorites were let go too soon, leaving a leadership void that analytics simply cannot quantify. The Blue Jays are seemingly banking on their rotation depth. But can you really replace the kind of grit Bassitt showed in October? The rumor mill is churning, and the destination being whispered is Atlanta. If this happens, it's going to sting. It's going to feel like a betrayal, not by the player, but by the circumstance. We are looking at a scenario where the guy who kept hope alive in Games 6 and 7 is going to be wearing a tomahawk across his chest come April. So, let's dig into the who and the why, because this connects dots that go way back to the fundamental philosophy of roster construction. According to MLB insider John Heyman, the Atlanta Braves are in on Chris Bassitt. Now, pause for a second and look at the state of the Atlanta Braves. This is a franchise that was the gold standard of the National League East for nearly a decade. 7 straight playoff appearances, a World Series ring in 2021, they were the model. And then, the wheels fell off. Last season was a disaster by their standards, a 76-win campaign that saw them watching October baseball from their couches. They are not in a rebuild. They are in a retool on the fly mode, which is arguably more dangerous and aggressive. The Braves have been quietly, surgically upgrading their roster this winter. They haven't made the splashy billion-dollar headlines like the Dodgers or Mets usually do, but look at the moves. They grabbed Ha-Seong Kim, a defensive wizard, on a $20 million deal. They bolstered the back end of the bullpen with Robert Suarez. They added depth with Mike Yastrzemski and Mauricio Dubin. These are winning baseball moves. But the glaring hole, the gaping wound in Atlanta's armor, is the starting rotation. Last year, their starters ranked 22nd in baseball with a 4.48 ERA. That is unacceptable for a team with championship DNA. They need stability. They need innings. And that is exactly what Chris Bassitt sells. Bassitt is a unicorn in today's game. In an era where pitchers are babied, pulled after 4 innings, and constantly on the IL, Bassitt is a throwback workhorse. He has a career ERA of 3.64. But the stat that has Atlanta salivating is this. He is one of the few pitchers to make at least 30 starts in each of the last 4 seasons. He throws 150 to 170 innings like clockwork. He joins an elite club with guys like his former teammate Kevin Gausman and the Jays' new acquisition Dylan Cease. Atlanta doesn't need Bassitt to be a Cy Young winner. They need him to stop the bleeding. They need a guy who takes the ball every 5th day and saves the bullpen. However, this isn't a simple transaction. It comes down to the almighty dollar and the luxury tax. Spotrac estimates Bassitt's market value around $31 million over 2 years. But insiders like Steve Adams at MLB Trade Rumors suggest he could be looking for a deal similar to Merrill Kelly's 2-year, $40 million contract. For the Braves, who are navigating their own payroll constraints, signing Bassitt comes with a tax surcharge of nearly $6 million on top of salary. Is a 37-year-old pitcher worth a nearly $50 million total investment? That is the gamble. But when you are coming off a 76-win season and your fans are restless, the cost of not signing him might be higher. The Braves see a distressed asset, a veteran squeezed out of Toronto, and they see the missing piece to their puzzle. As we look toward the horizon of the 2026 season, we have to ask ourselves, what happens if Toronto lets him walk and he thrives in Atlanta? This is the classic one that got away scenario brewing in real time. If Bassitt goes to the National League and posts another 15-win season with a sub 3.50 ERA, while the Blue Jays potentially struggle with injuries or inconsistency in their own rotation, the scrutiny on the Toronto front office will be intense. We know the Jays signed Dylan Cease, and that was a massive headline-grabbing move. But roster construction isn't just about the ace, it's about the number 3 and number 4 guys who keep you in games in August. Bassitt was that safety blanket. Removing him is like removing the load-bearing wall of a house because you bought a fancy new chandelier. There is also the emotional component of the betrayal. It's a strong word, but sports are theater. Seeing Bassitt in a Braves uniform, helping a rival contender get back to the promised land, is going to be a bitter pill for Jays fans who watched him leave his heart on the mound in that World Series loss. It reinforces the cold, transactional nature of the sport. The Jays have shown no real interest in bringing him back. That phrase alone stings. It implies that despite the heroics, despite the consistency, the algorithm has decided he is no longer necessary. But for Bassitt, this is the ultimate opportunity for revenge. Not malicious revenge, but success as the best revenge. Joining a team like Atlanta with that lineup and that defense could rejuvenate his career even further. He goes from a team trying to recover from a Game 7 heartbreak to a team hungry to prove their downfall was a fluke. It's a perfect narrative fit. The Hound, as he is known, loves a challenge, and resurrecting the Atlanta rotation is the ultimate challenge. So, here is the bottom line, baseball fans. We are watching a high-stakes game of poker. The Jays have folded their hand on Bassitt. The Braves are pushing their chips into the middle of the table. Who is going to look smart in October? I want to hear from you right now. Do you think the Blue Jays are making a massive mistake letting Chris Bassitt walk over money? Or is it smart to move on from a 37-year-old pitcher, regardless of his World Series heroics? And if you're a Braves fan, is he the guy who gets you back to the playoffs? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one of them. Smash that like button if you love the hot stove drama, and subscribe so you don't miss the next update. The season is almost here. Let's get ready.